In this episode, I will show you how KeyUser Pro seamlessly integrates with SAP Cloud ALM requirement management. SAP Cloud ALM no longer includes incident management like its predecessor, SAP Solution Manager. KeyUser Pro bridges that gap. How KeyUser Pro supports the implementation of projects was shown in a previous episode. But during day-to-day operation, requirements are also generated by key users, either directly or through a promoted support request. Because requirements in SAP Cloud ALM must always be linked to a project, it is best practice to create so-called operational projects. They will act as the bucket for requirements during day-to-day operation. Assuming a user has created a support request for the HR department. Our key user Li may review the request and identify the need for a customization in SAP. Possibly after having liaised with a second-level team member, she generates out of the support request a requirement for customization. After having added some useful information, she submits the requirement for further processing. Directly from the support request, she may open the requirement and review it again from a functional perspective. In our governance model, she is responsible for the functional specification. When she is fine with it, she may decide whether she approves the functional specification by herself or request an additional functional approval by the global process owner. In our showcase, she approves it for herself, and the requirement is forwarded to the request manager for an initial review for further implementation. The request manager, Sam Speed, does an initial inspection for further technical evaluation. He may enrich the requirement with organizational information like the work type, assign it to an operational project previously created in SAP Cloud ALM, may choose a SAP solution scenario and best practice process from the project scope, which is then automatically linked to the support organization, and assign the request owner, Amy Sun, who will be responsible for further technical specification. The requirement is now prepared for the technical evaluation. Amy Sun, as a customizer, is now responsible for doing the technical evaluation for further approval and implementation. Dependent on customer needs and the complexity of the requirement, the approval process can be customized and automated to avoid unnecessary overhead. As a customizer, Amy needs do the technical specification, review the approvers. In our case, only the process owner is set as a mandatory approver, define efforts and dates, do the risk evaluation, and finally sends the requirement for technical approval. After the process owner has approved the requirement, it will be submitted to SAP Cloud ALM for realization. SAP Cloud ALM will now become the leading system. Amy can directly switch to SAP Cloud ALM to process the requirement further. We will not get into the details of how to implement a requirement in SAP Cloud ALM here. Let's assume all work is already done and we set the requirement status to confirmed, which means it is already implemented into the production system. From SAP Cloud ALM, we also can directly switch back to the requirement in KeyUser Pro. Recognize that the state has now changed to validation and KeyUser Pro has become back the role of the leading system. In our example, KeyUser Pro is configured in such a way that our requester Li must finally validate the implementation of the requirement. Recognize that the classification of the requirement is linked with the support organization hierarchy and the requirement is seamlessly handed over to the key user support organization by clicking on Accept Requirement. The loop has now closed from support request via requirement back to support. KeyUser Pro, the solution to seamlessly integrate your support organization with Application Lifecycle Management. It complements SAP Cloud ALM with incident management and closes the loop between requirement management and user support. Interested in more? Please contact us.